Welcome back. Today is the day that we are going to see what the Scrappy PC is capable of. The system I put together with a motherboard I recapped with these bare hands and a crappy soldering iron, of course. If you want to check that out, you can check the link on the card here. And we are going to see what it's capable of doing in Windows XP, add a semi-period correct graphics card, and just see how it works, see if it's worthy for yourself to put something like this together and just have some good, safe, nerdy fun. The system I have put together to be a Windows XP video game playing machine sports a motherboard from 2010. It's a ZOTAC with an N40 chipset and a 6100 Geforce onboard graphics card, a single core Sempron 1250LE processor with 2.2 GHz from 2007, 2 sticks of 1 GB DDR2 memory from Kingston for a total of 2 GB in dual channel, an old-fashioned spinning disk, 500 GB hard disk, and then we are going to upgrade it with the 8500 GT graphics card from NVIDIA. This is a budget graphics card, and we are gonna see if with that we can make the Scrappy PC a real video game playing machine from the past. Alright guys, so for our first game we have Need for Speed Underground 2. This is a game from 2004, and here running it at 1024 by 768, it was just terrible with the onboard graphics card. But as soon as you lower that to 800 by 600, the game becomes playable. Not very pretty though. So switching to the 8500 GT, you can basically turn all the details on and put it in 1024 by 768, and you can get from 30 to 40 FPS like that. But lowering the details a bit makes the experience more enjoyable, and the game is just as pretty. See, you can run it at 1024 by 768 from 50 to 60 FPS. Okay, so the next game we have on our list is Half-Life 2 running on the Scrappy PC at minimum details with the onboard graphics card, and also low res 640 by 480. And I mean, it's playable. The game is so good, you kind of just trucked through it, but it's not very enjoyable. So switching to the 8500 GT, you can just turn the resolution to native on this monitor, which is 1366 by 768, and turn all the details to high, and you can run the game from 40 to 70 FPS. And I mean, this game is so good. I love testing with this game. The problem is that I don't want to stop playing. Next game we have is Driver 3. This game is kind of weird. I mean, it's weird in all sense. The game itself is weird. It has a great cast, but it's so behind its time. By this time, GTA 3 had already released, and compared to that, this game is really bad. It feels like it's one generation behind. Anyway, you can run it at the lowest details on the onboard graphics card, but as soon as you put the 8500 GT, you can set it to native resolution. You can't set the details to the maximum, but at least you can run it in the native resolution of this monitor, of course, 1366 by 768. Doom 3 is a game also from 2004. I love testing Doom 3 because it's so optimized, just as well as Quake IV, and you can run it on the minimum settings here. Although it's a very demanding game, this just shows how much Doom is well optimized. The bad thing is the textures look really plain, and this doesn't do justice to that game. So setting the resolution manually to the native resolution of this monitor, 1366 by 768 with the 8500 GT, just makes this game look great. It's amazing that you can run such a beautiful game in such a simple hardware. So you can see the textures are a lot better. And in this cutscene, it dropped to 35 frames per second for a little bit, but on the gameplay it's not that low most of the time. So the next game I played was Far Cry, and it's funny because with the onboard graphics card and indoors the game runs really well, but as soon as you step outside the frame drops to very low, drops to between 10 and 20 frames per second, so it becomes unplayable even in minimum settings. So switching to the 8500 GT, you can crank the resolution to the monitor's native resolution and set the details to high, and everything just looks great. It's amazing that you can do that with a budget graphics card. Far Cry, much different from Driver, felt like a game that was ahead of its time. And here we have Quake IV. Quake IV is a game from 2005, and it runs on the same engine that Doom 3 does. It runs at low settings and low res. You can still play it, although of course it doesn't look very good. But you can play it on the onboard graphics card, and that's always good. Now switching to the 8500 GT and setting that resolution manually, things just look amazing. Just like on Doom 3, this game looks really good, and it feels like it's actually ahead of its time. The textures look amazing and everything, and the scenery is so detailed. It is amazing that you can run this on simple hardware like this. So Tomb Raider Legends is a game from 2006, and it runs pretty well with the onboard graphics card as long as you don't crank the settings too high nor the resolution. It's a funny game because when you get inside, it's actually a more demanding game than outside. It's opposite than most games, and that is because all the puzzles are inside with all the gears turning and everything else. There's something here though that intrigues me, is the next generation options on setting, and it makes the game look a little bit better, the textures, but it makes it completely unplayable. Now all of these is with the onboard video card, a GF 6100. Now putting the 8500 GT there of course makes it a lot more playable, and here you have it with the next gen option on. It looks amazing, but it's still unplayable even with the dedicated graphics card. Now switching that off, the frames go up to almost 100 and the game still looks pretty good. Assassin's Creed is a game from 2007. It's one of the newest titles I've tested, and with the onboard graphics card it's completely unplayable. Now switching to the 8500 GT makes it a little better, but you still have to keep it on the minimum resolution to be playable. And I'm sorry, but when you do that, it just ruins for some reason fraps, and I can't get a frame count. But it was running from between 20 and 30, which is really low and weird because this graphics card is from 2007, the processor is from 2007, and the game is from 2007. So I would imagine that it should play. Now for what everybody's waiting for, does it run Crysis? The answer is no. It doesn't run Crysis with the onboard graphics card, of course. Completely unplayable at 5, 4, and 6 FPS, even at minimum resolution. But yeah, switching to the 8500 GT does make it playable, and that's awesome. Although, even on the automatic settings, it just cranks everything to minimum possible, resolution, details, everything. But the game is playable, and that's good. I wasn't sure if I was expecting this. The processor on this really needs an upgrade to play the newer games that were released on Windows XP. Now for our last run here, we have Aquamark 3, our favorite benchmark from the old days. And I didn't run the whole thing here because that would just bore you to death. So I switched from the onboard graphics card to the dedicated graphics card. And I mean, it runs good. It's a good result, but just with the onboard graphics card, it's painful to watch the sequences here. So this machine, with or without the dedicated graphics card, has a lot of trouble when it comes to rendering complex environments and many different objects. And I think that's just because the processor is very slow. It's a budget processor. It's not meant for heavy gaming. But anyways, it was a blast working on this. And I had a lot of fun. And I can't wait to upgrade the processor on this machine and revisit it, and even try different graphics card to see and find out what the real bottlenecks were. Now the explosions here on Aquamark are the heaviest, the most demanding parts, and again they are very painful with the onboard graphics card to see. And here we have our final results. That was it for the games and benchmarks. So that was it for this retro PC masterpiece. I'm definitely not done with it. We're gonna try to upgrade the processor to see if we can get it to run the later releases for Windows XP, like Assassin's Creed. As you saw, it wasn't running it well at all. Maybe we can get a slim case for it to close it off, and then I think I'll finally feel that I have done justice to the system. But for now, that's it. We are going to move on for some other projects, like a PC testing bench I'm in desperate need of. And after we have the parts available, we will revisit the Scrappy PC once again. So subscribe, like the video, leave a comment with your opinion on what you think about life, the universe, everything, and what is going on here in this channel, what you would like to see, and I will see you next time. So that was it. Leave your comments about life, the universe, what you want to see. Leave a comment. Like the video. Leave a comment of life, universe, and comment with your opinions. Universe, life, the universe, and everything. Everything. Sports with the end of